styles of bikes called? You know, that's original. So this style of bike, is it a Cafe Racer? What is it?
No. So, this was originally built as a flat track bike, so like a speedway bike, but long circuit American racing. So but I've changed that. I've changed the setup to be, this bike is built for the sand racing at Celex. This one is a super motard. So that's like a motocross bike that you ride on asphalt. So it's set up like a motocross bike, like, you know, same sort of forks, and it's set up like a motocross bike, but it's motard, so it's an asphalt bike.
And with the sand, set up for the sand, a lot of things are going to be closed off so the sand doesn't get in there.
Yeah. So see that little mud flap on the front there, so it doesn't flick the sand up. It's just got, like, you have to use these particular type of tyres so that it doesn't, you know.
And are they soft? Like,
Yeah, like 10 psi.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So all of these bikes are used?
Oh yeah.
All of them are used?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So these two here, the track bikes.
So what year are these two?
Well, these are virtually new, like less than 10 years old, but that's a 74 and that's a 61.
Right.
So I race this in what they call, in motorbikes, it goes in periods. So you've got period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is period 3. So it's because of they don't have to be from that era, but they've got to be built from that era.
Okay, so the original one from that era, they raced them as well?
Yeah, so Rickman frames were around in the 60s. So
that way you can...
Yep. So, and this is an 850 BSA motor, so that was built in 1960. So period qualifies for a period 3 bike.
Okay, so the period 3...
That's him racing it in the second.
So the period 3 bike, if it was original, is that in the same category?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I've got it. Okay. Yep. So as long as you've got the
components are from the era of.
So
not necessarily the frame, but the frame is well.
So if I had that motor in that frame, right, let's say, it wouldn't, well, if I had that motor in that frame there, which is 1980, it wouldn't be period 3. Because that motor and that frame come from 1960, it classifies as period 3.
Okay.
So these two asphalt bikes, they're set up for road racing. Remember the Castrol 6-hour road race?
Yeah.
So they're set up in that theme. But they're asphalt road race bikes, and so this one's
to race these two.
Yeah, I race it. Yeah. Well, this one's a period 4, and this one's period 5. So the Kawasaki was built in 1980, and the Honda was built in 1970.
So what's this breather? What's this? The yellow tube that goes on.
So that's the breather for the tank.
So you just unscrew the top.
Yeah. So for fuel to flow, it's got to suck air.
Yeah. So with all these bikes, I mean, they look immaculate, and you've raced them.
Yeah.
So after the race, what do you do to clean them? I mean, they look.
They're asphalt bikes, so they don't get that dirty.
Yeah.
But I've been racing for a while.
But your sand bike, you're saying, which one was?
So this one gets raced in the salt. Yeah, that one you got to, you just cover it in CRC.
Yeah. These are gorgeous. And what year are these two?
So we'll go through them. So this, I'll give you the story, right?
Which one was your first bike, actually?
Okay. I was never interested in road bikes. When we grew up as kids, we had some land. Bikes. Yeah, we had land up at Branch down the river. We had dirt bikes and grew up riding motorbikes and stuff. Never owned a road bike. So I stayed with a mate of mine in the south of France in about 2012, and he rented the top level of a house from a guy that was English that lived in the south of France. He owned this bike. And he parked it out front, like on the street in the front door, and I thought, man, that's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. And while we were there for 3 or 4 days. He started out, going for a ride. We were in the village, in the town. It was sort of in a valley.
So it echo everywhere.
And he went for a ride one particular day up through the hills. So as you climb out of this valley, and you could just hear this thing thumping through the hills. It was amazing. Then he came back and I had a look at it. It's incredible. And he started up and bop 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 bop, because these things are a twin, and they don't go like that. They're a twin that goes like that. So they vibrate a lot. So you sit on it, it's just bop 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 bop. And then I sort of thought to myself, if I ever buy a motorbike, that's what I want. If I could get one, that's what I want. And I said to him, so he's in France, I'm going back to Australia a week later. I said, if you ever interested in selling the Triton, let me know. So 3 years later, he messages me and says, I'm going to move to Triton, are you interested in it? So I said, yeah. So that was the first bike that I got, and that was only in 2012.
Oh, so this is all over the last 10 years?
Yeah.
And so what year is that bike?
So, okay, so this bike, so this is a Triton T120 motor, which is a 650 motor, in a Norton featherbed frame. So back in the 50s, no one, the must-have bike was a, I'll think of it in a sec. Anyway, it was a Norton featherbed, that's right, Norton featherbed. But no one could afford to buy the Norton and they were unreliable. So what they did is they would take the Norton featherbed frame and put a Triumph motor in it. So this bike was first registered in 1959 as a Cafe Racer, as a Triton Cafe Racer.
So that would have been a new frame?
Yes.
Back then, a new frame with a
new motor.
Yeah. So this is...
So this one, so this is basically the same bike as that, but 25 years, roughly 25 years younger. So this is, this is a 1972 Triton, which is a Triumph T120 motor, unit motor, in a Norton featherbed frame. So these are Norton featherbed wide frames. See,
this is the most recent acquisition?
No, that was the second acquisition.
That was the second acquisition, okay. Preference to ride? Now that you've got both of them?
So, interesting question. All of them, but for different things.
Yeah, that's... I thought that might be the answer. Depending on how you're feeling and what you want to do, is what you ride.
These two are hard to ride because you're down like that. They vibrate like crazy because they're twins, and they vibrate like do you know how the old motorbike engine twin works? They're not a 90-degree crank. They're a 180 crank, well not 180.
So they're not as
parallel, and so the pistons go up and down together. So that's when you see these old bikes running, you'll see the front wheel going like that. Because the motors, that's the motor.
So Wayne, where's their sweet spot? So if you're riding this one here, where's the sweet spot in the riding? Is it, 80 Ks?
Yeah, about 2,000 revs. So about 60 to 80 kilometres an hour.
Okay.
So these things do 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, whatever gear, but basically 2,000 revs is the sweet spot.
Yeah, they vibrate like crazy all the time. And like you come off of them and your hands are shaking.
Okay. So you've been wearing your gloves. Yeah,
these are nice to ride, for a short ride on a Sunday, just to get a bit of an adrenaline rush. But you would never ride these for 3 or 4 hours; it'd kill you.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to this one here.
So this one, this. So that was the first bike. That was the second bike, and then this one came up. This one I only bought about a year ago. When you're into this stuff, the Vincent is like the holy grail.
Okay.
And when did Vincent start? I know they've got
1950s. 1950s
when they started. And it was solely just Vincent, not Egli.
No, just
Is it pronounced Egli or Egli? Is it Italian?
Egli. No, English.
English, so it's Egli. Okay.
So rare, hard to find?
Really rare, hard to find. So these bikes are super expensive. Just the motor, you can buy all these parts new out of England. So they've got all the casts and everything, and they're now remanufacturing this bike. But if you were to buy that motor, just that motor new, it's about 90 grand.
Oh, right.
Really expensive.
And this is a 400cc, you were saying?
So this is, these two are 650cc. So this is basically, with the V-twin, it's like two of those motors together.
Yeah, it looks like
So that's 1200cc. Really tall gears. So this bike, with the geometry and everything, you can see how the bars are up higher than these ones. These are down low. So this bike is a really comfortable bike to ride on a highway. You could ride this for 5 hours easy. And it's really tall gears.
And in terms of smoothness, beautiful, no problem.
But because of the twin, because of the V-twin, the pistons are doing that, so you don't have that same vibration. So you could ride this all day. So yeah, these three bikes are all, so that's 59, 72, 54. So these are all Cafe Racers.
So the term for Cafe Racers is what though? What's that mean?
This.
That shape.
This.
Yeah.
Lock-on bars, minimalist. So a Cafe Racer, the the look of it, so that bike there is that's a Cafe Racer, but it's a modern one, or more modern one. So Cafe Racer, what they used to do back in the 50s, when all the young kids, they couldn't afford cars, so they'd get motorbikes. They'd get a standard Triumph Bonneville bike, or a Norton Manx or whatever, or not a Norton Manx because that's too expensive, but that type of bike. And what they'd do is they'd strip everything off of them and get them back to the bare basics, and put clip-on bars, and they would, they'd try and, so the big deal back then was, riding at 100 miles an hour. So they'd ride, they would be at a cafe and they would do a ride and try and get back before the song finished.
So it was a cafe, that's why they called it Cafe Racer.
Yeah. So yeah, Cafe Racer is minimalist, stripped down, minimal. This one over here, so the Suzuki, so the same guy that built this bike built those three as well. Okay. So that Suzuki, that started his life as a GSX 750, 1981. So that was a typical 1980s street bike. So that was the GSX 750, that was the Suzuki before do you remember the Suzuki Katanas? Like, they were quite groundbreaking in their time. Silver, like different shape, like a really modern space age looking bike. So the GSXs were Suzuki's big road bike before the Katanas.
Well, that's a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, that's a 750.
That's huge.
Yep. That's a really nice bike to ride. So that started out its life looking very, very different than what it does now. Then you've got the other two, which is the Honda and
so you've got the two number 9s.
So the Honda and the Kawasaki. So these are actually pretty unique. These are that started its life out as a CB750, and that's a Z1 Kawasaki, like 900.
So 750 and 900.
Yeah.
And so you race these on, these are actually bikes.
Yeah, so this one's period 4, this one's period 5, and they're built, period 5. So period 4, period 5, and they're built in the Castrol 6-hour road race theme.
Do you actually look at your speed, or you don't have a speed?
I don't have a speed.
But you would know how much it gets.
Oh yeah, that'll do 120, 130 mile an hour.
Mile an hour, yes.
That's quick, that's it.
Yeah.
But this one on the short track, this is really good because you can maneuver it easily. Yeah.
See, because for me, they all look quite heavy bikes. That one looks a bit lighter.
Yes.
And this is lighter.
And this, which one would be lighter? About the same one. Oh no, that one there.
These ride like a modern motocross bike. They're quite amazing. They're really, really light because the weight, although the motors are heavy, the weight's down quite low.
Okay, so I think I'll ride that one. Do you have to have a license?
Interesting that you grew up riding dirt bikes,
Yeah.
but you haven't got a dirt bike in your
No, I've got dirt bikes, but
So you still ride dirt bikes?
Yeah.
Well, see, the advantage with dirt bikes, you could do it on private property. You didn't have to have a license.
Yeah.
So what's the next bike to the collection?
No, well, I'm not looking.
Unless something pops up.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I mean, I wasn't looking for that one, but it was too good to let go. Because,
Especially having this one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So when I bought this one, it looked like it does, but it had red plastics and everything on it, and I knew what it was, and I knew that I could make it look like it does.
It looks fantastic having the two of them.
Yeah. So this one here, I bought from a guy up in Sydney. He built it as a flat track bike. So it had, see those those sort of knobbly tyres up there, the bigger ones?
Yeah.
But it had those on it, and it was set up for like speedway flat track, like American style mile circuit, mile track, and they don't have a brake front wheel. They're just a free hub, and they race them, like just hang the arse end out around the corner and run around the mile circuit. But I reset it up because I knew that I could use it in period 3, or that setup is eligible for period 3 at Sellex. So in March they have a big event down at Sellex Beach where they reenact the old sand racing. So it's an 800 metre up and back, so it's a mile circuit. So you just basically flat out down to the turn around and come back. Yeah.
Hey, so that'd be something to go to. I'm going to sit on that.
Yeah. So that's in March.
So
Have you got a key here?
It doesn't have to be. You want to ride it?
No.
So no motor goods in.
Gee, that's fairly.
In the collection.
But you might need me to do it. more strength. Oh, now you got to decompress it. No, I'm serious. It's too much compression.